Hello, ladies and gentlemen of physical science. This is an exciting day. Your life will never be the same after being introduced to the periodic table of elements. This is a big deal, folks. There's a lot here. We're going to take it piece by piece, a little bit by little bit, so you can start to become very, very familiar with this periodic table of elements. It looks strange. You may have seen it before, but there's a whole lot here that just doesn't seem to make sense. And that's because there's been a ton of information smashed down into one location, and we call that our periodic table of elements. Now, first thing you ought to know, you will have this table available to you for every test, and every quiz for the remainder of the semester, okay? You have the option of printing off a table and drawing on it and changing it and coloring it and editing it if you would like, or you can just simply use the electronic version that will be provided for you on Canvas, right? So here's right out of the gates. Why in the world is this table not a perfect square? Why didn't they just take these elements that are in boxes and just make them so many across and so many down? Why this particularly strange shape? Well, it has to do with the fact that there are patterns, there are trends, there's information that is not contained within the individual boxes that actually can be read from the periodic table. This is actually what it's supposed to look like. Two rows right here, these rows are normally pulled out and stuck at the bottom of the table, and everything gets smashed together. And that's pretty much for convenience in printing it in a textbook. That's it. This is what the table really ought to look like, with everything expanded completely, right? Still not a perfect square. This one is color coded, but then we have some of these vertical columns that are higher than others. This is just too high. These ones have a big gap when you look at the row. Why? We're going to answer all of those questions for you. Not all in this video, but we'll begin to take a look at the different trends and the patterns of why this table looks the way that it actually does. This is a little image of the periodic table that we are going to make available to you. It is slightly simplified, but still a very, very strange shape. This is the one that we're going to recommend that you use. One of the things I like is that there's a key right up here that tells you in each box what does the number at the top represent. That's your atomic number, the chemical symbol, and the name of the chemical name right there, the element name, and then our atomic weight, which we have been referring to as mass number up until this point, is already rounded to the nearest whole number for you. So this is a user-friendly periodic table, if there is such a thing. This will be posted on Canvas for you. Again, you can use it on every test and every quiz and every assignment this semester. We do not expect you to memorize this table in any way, but we do need to teach you how to use it, okay? It's a slightly larger shot. Now, here's the first thing that you are able to write on your periodic table, draw on your periodic table, or put in your notes. And let me pause real quick and go back. On Canvas, when you find this periodic table, you right now have got to decide, am I the type of person that wants to work with this digitally? Am I really comfortable enough with my computer to put notes on this and edit this on my laptop? If that's not you, then you might need to think of, how can I get this printed? How can I have access to this? Or do I want to type up on a Word document or in some notes somewhere the information that I would write on this periodic table? You are okay to print it off and have a hard copy, or you may do it completely digitally. It's totally up to you. Here's the first grouping, the first explanation as to why this table looks the way that it does. The elements are divided into groups or families. These are vertical columns of elements, vertical, up and down, right? If you test your vertical to see how high you can jump, that's up and down. These columns that run up and down group these elements together because they have similar chemical properties. And there are 8 main group elements. They are listed here: alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, and then all these other families. I'm going to walk you through them right now. This is a part of the video you can come back to and pause and rewatch as you label your periodic table, okay? You can see me on the left-hand side of the periodic table. My cursor is showing you here. These are the alkali metals. This is the very first group. All right, the spelling is on the previous slide. You are welcome to label that on your periodic table. These are the alkali metals. Right next to them, here from beryllium all the way down to radium, this second column, these are the alkaline earth metals. Spelled just a little bit differently. Check the previous slide for that spelling, okay? Alkaline earth metals. Now, all these metals bunched together in the middle here are transition metals. We're going to get to them later in this unit. We're going to ask you to just kind of not ignore them, but just know that they're there and jump all the way over here to this vertical column here. All of the elements in this family are labeled or named after the element at the top of the family. This is the boron family. Feel free to label that one. The carbon family is right next to it. The nitrogen family and the oxygen family. Those four families get their names just because of the element that's at the top. One of the reasons why is these are the first families that have nonmetals, something we'll call metalloids down the road, and then metals at the bottom. There's some differences there. There's a lot going on in those families, okay? So boron family, carbon family, nitrogen family, and oxygen family, okay? The last two vertical columns here, the fluorine, this one, I should pause there. These are called the halogens. The halogens start with fluorine and all of the elements underneath. And the very last one here, these are called the noble gases. If that doesn't sound all proper and hoity-toity, I don't know what is. Okay, there's a reason for that. These are noble gases. And those are the main group elements. The other parts of the periodic table we will get to, but I want you to know those eight families or groups, these vertical columns. Okay? Now, the next division on the periodic table that we're going to introduce to you, these are called periods. This is the whole reason that it's called the periodic table. These are horizontal rows, like a horizon, side to side. And they're numbered from the top with period 1 all the way down to period 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, right? This slide will help you label them. Period 1 is the top row, and it only contains hydrogen and helium right here, right? Hydrogen and then a big gap all the way across to helium. That is period 1, all right? Period 2 is from lithium to neon, and that's just right underneath, like reading a book. You go to the next row, and from lithium all the way across to neon, that's period 2. Period 3 is from sodium to argon, just the next horizontal row down. Sodium is Na. I know that seems strange. We'll get to that another day. All the way across to argon, that's period 3. Okay? Now you can keep labeling these. Check this slide for period 4 and period 5, but the pattern continues. Period 1, period 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? You may ask, what about these down here? Where do they belong? Well, remember when I showed you the periodic table all expanded, they actually fit right here with in period 6 and period 7. Okay? So we have our vertical columns called families or groups, and then our horizontal periods. And so essentially what we've done is the entire table is now a grid system. Here's how you will be tested over this. Okay? This is a skill. It will take time to develop. Can you find the element in period 2 and in the alkali metal family? So if we go to our periodic table, period 2 is this row right here. Everything from lithium all the way across to neon. But the alkali metal family is this vertical column right here. So the only element that is in period 2 and also an alkali metal is lithium. We've just identified lithium on the periodic table. Okay, let's try this one. Can you find the element in period 4 and in the halogens? Well, period 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. And our halogens are all the way across right here. So we've just identified bromine is how you would say that one. It's a grid system, folks. That's how it works. Let's try one more. Can you find the element in period 5 and in the noble gas family? Well, period 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's this row right here. This is period 5. And we come all the way across to where the noble gases are, and we've identified xenon. All right? So that's how you'll be tested over it. We will practice it, but I recommend you deciding now, are you going to be a digital periodic table kind of person and just use it online, or are you going to print one off and have some either paper notes or a paper version of the periodic table that you'd like to be able to write and draw on? You choose whatever you'd like.